What's going on, everybody? The Lumberjack Landlord, brought to you by Bigger Pockets. Kidding, they're not a sponsor yet anyway, but had an absolute blast with those guys this last actually it was a few weeks ago now, but super excited. Yeah, completely disheveled. I was outside. It's freaking freezing here. I think it's like 5 degrees. It absolutely sucks right now. But yeah, super excited to be here. The Bigger Pockets video went live this week. Please, please, please go over there, watch it. I did a lot of new stuff for them. And leave a comment, give it a like, help a brother out. We're trying to help. And if you're wondering why you might not be able to see all the questions tonight, we've got a vertical view and we've got a horizontal view option. But yeah, go over there. Make sure you watch the video over there on Bigger Pockets. It was actually, honestly, you never know what you're going to get with one of those things. And that means like, big, huge channel and, heavy editing and all of that stuff. You never know what you're going to get. In all honesty, I haven't watched it yet. I've been just waiting for time with my wife to sit down and watch it together. Because it is both of our journeys, but really enjoyed the time with the guys there. Honestly, had a lot of fun. Yeah, Dave was good. We kind of talked about the interview a little bit beforehand, and I just said, kind of what do you want to accomplish? And they were super cool just in kind of how we went through everything. Because again, it was really all about the viewer. It's not about me. It's about what I can answer for you. That's why we do this show. The whole purpose of this show is so I can answer your questions. But yeah, really a good time. So thank you, Bigger Pockets, for finally having me on. Thank you, Dion. I know that Dion was, everybody's tried to get me on that channel. I know viewers have sent stuff in. Christian has tried to get me on there. Christian Osgood from Multifamily Strategy, Zub from One Rental at a Time. Dion, obviously from Dion Talks Financial Freedom. Coach Carson, Coach has helped me. So thank you guys. Thank you. It was a dream come true. I've always wanted to do it. Always wanted to try and make as big of an impact as we can make. I don't want to be famous. For those of you who met me in famous in Vegas. That's not the goal. The goal is just to help guys out. We want to help you guys out. It was a long, lonely road for me. Real estate investing, the first, 5 to 9 years was really, really hard. And so anytime that I can help you guys out, do something like this, do my lives, spend time with you guys, that's certainly what I want to do and answer your guys' questions and try and make you guys elite investors. And yeah, that's still always the goal. Hi, Jeannie. Thanks for coming over and hanging out. But feel free to ask any questions. For those of you guys who are new here, thanks for coming. Appreciate you. I'm here to help you guys. I've done this for 24 years. I've got 53 buildings. I got 153 units. I think it's a lot now. And we do it all. We've bought every sort of way. We bought from wholesalers. We bought from wholetailers. We bought from retailers. We bought on MLS, off MLS. We've bought estate sale. We've bought private party. We've bought off-market listing. We bought tax sale. We bought auction. We bought short sale. We bought foreclosure. If I'm missing one, I'm sure we've probably done at least 1 or 2 deals that way. So we buy every single way out there because you never can control necessarily the real deal flow coming across your desk. So what you have to be able to do is you got to be able to do any kind of purchase. And so we've done every kind of purchase. But the most important thing is my focus is you're going to spend this much time buying a property. You're going to spend this much time owning the property. So I focus on the this. I don't focus so much on the this. I can teach you this. That's not hard. The buying side's pretty easy, honestly. It's just making the numbers work. But then this is the hard part. You're managing people, managing contractors, managing inspectors, managing letters from the city or from the town. It's all the stuff. So that's what I want to help you guys with. That's what my course is, but I want you to spend time here with me first. I want you to spend that time. Then if you feel like you need more, if you feel like you need more than what I can give you here, then that. But now this, you and me, us together, let's get through it. Let's start answering some questions for you guys. For those of you who don't know, I keep track of my record in court. I'm 30-0, and yesterday was 31. I talked to you guys about it. This was a tenant that we returned her deposit, but we didn't return all of it. She had never taken the internet out of her name. It was an oversight by out of our name. It was an oversight by the office. They just completely missed it. And so what we tried to do is we tried to work with her, and we said, you know what? Yes. Okay, fine. But you got to pay for some of it. She didn't like that. She filed a case. She sent me an email saying that she was going to sue me. And this is arrogant to do. I don't recommend this, but I did it because I've done this for a long time. I sent her all the information of where she needed to file her case because I don't care. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. I've been doing this for 24 years. I've been to small claims 3 times ever. And I've done evictions for, I don't know how many evictions I've done. I've done like 27 evictions in 24 years. So we don't have a whole lot of evictions, but I know how to do them because they're expensive when you have attorneys do them. So we can always answer questions, or I can always answer questions about that. But went to court. She had a suit against me for just under $1,300. So just under $1,300 she was suing me for. And what that did was that made me go back into our system and go, hey, what was the real balance? I know that we returned to her less than what she wanted, but more than what we should have. So we got into the system. I looked at it and I go, oh my goodness, we're going to have to zero out an $1,100 bill on her. I'm not going to do that. Nope. Now you picked a fight. Now we're going to have to go to court and I'll spend my time. So yeah. So what we did is we put everything together. I filed a countersuit. I filled out all the paperwork, provided all the documentation. She objected. The judge denied. She tried to get it withdrawn. She got denied. She had 3 motions that she filed, and this is all online. It's very easy to do. Don't get scared. It's all very straightforward stuff. The forms are very self-explanatory. When it was all said and done, my suit against her was about $1,100, and that was keeping what I'd already kept. So we got to court, and we go into a room. You have the option in the small claim side. You have the option of going into a room with a mediator, or you can just go into the room and try and work it out yourselves. I always like to try and work it out myself. And then if that's not working, then go mediator. If that's not working and the mediator's free, if that's not working, then we go back, then we go in front of the judge. So in sitting with her there, we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I just said, hey, listen, we're really fair. I didn't charge you for any of the fuel restarts that you needed because you weren't monitoring the measurement class. I didn't charge you for any of those. The oil company charges $185 for that. I did it for you for free. It was my money out of pocket. It was my employees' time, but we did that for you. So that was one of the things. We did that a couple of times. And there were a couple of other items where I was like, yeah, but other stuff over there, like you had us come over and change the batteries in the thermostat. Like you should be equipped to change batteries in the thermostat. So we had that conversation. I said, here's the deal. I'm more than happy to go in front of the judge. And here's why. I listed out everything. If you take the course, you'll see how we build out an entire court case. There's a reason that we create timelines and supporting documents and how we set up our folders. I think we cover that in a couple of weeks in the boot camp. But that whole time I was very self-assured because I had a breakdown of every single step, the timing of every single step. And when we finally got through it, she said, well, I'm not going to pay you that amount. I'm not going to pay you the $1,100. I said, it's no problem. Not a problem. She goes, I said, listen, I'm trying to be a nice guy. I'm trying to work with you, but the option isn't 0. That's not the option. She goes, well, give me a number. Don't ever give a number. It's not, I already gave her a number. I said, sure. My number's $1,100. She goes, well, that's what you're suing me for. Right. That's my number. I said, I went through the entire process of reviewing every single document. I went through the entire process of reviewing every single email. I went through it all. And so that's how I came up with a less than what I'm due $1,100. Yeah, that's how I came up with that number. So she said no. I said, okay. I said, let's go in front of the judge then. Let's go. She's like, well, what would you take? Right? Buying question. And I said, you tell me. I said, I'm willing to work with you, but not gonna, I really don't feel like I need to discount this. She's like, how about $600? And I was like, no, not even close. We went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I realized that there was a mistake in the paperwork. The mistake in the paperwork was that we actually had on record that we had filled the tank, but we actually copied the receipt wrong. It actually wasn't us that filled it. It was her that filled it. But that was one of the pieces of evidence that I knew she was going to be able to present. And so I said, I don't want to get stuck on that. Not only do I not want to get stuck on that, I don't want to end up with treble damages, because if you have an amount that's owed, you can actually do treble damages. Not something I wanted to do. But again, I still believe I would have gone in front of the judge and I would have won. Still believe that. So what I did instead, excuse me 1 second. What I did instead was I decided, you know what? I am going to, what is Venmo crashed or something? Dear heavens. No, I was going to say it can't have crashed. I was just looking. I was like, there's no way that crashed. So we were able to work out an agreement, and she paid a lot closer to the 11, and we got it signed. We got it signed. We got it done, and we're done. Now, here's what I would tell you. We were able to work through it together. I didn't shout at her. She didn't shout at me. She was actually quite gracious. She actually said, she's like, I'm sorry, I just can't agree with you. I said, I completely understand. I'm not asking you to agree. I said, the only thing that I'm asking for is to get paid. And so that's kind of how it went. Give me just 1 second here. So that was my final message to her, because I was reminded of something. But we ended up doing the deal. Got it done. We're finished. She moves on. But here's the lesson. We are really fair with our tenants. Really fair. We had gone through the entire process. We gave her a number that we thought was fair, returning it back. She decided to sue. She notified me in an email that she was going to sue me. And my exact wording back to her was, hey, you're more than welcome to sue me. Here's all the information you'll need to file in order to sue me. However, just know that if you do sue me, what I gave you as a deposit says right in our document, right in our letter, it says, if you do not contest in court, this is the amount that we're willing to return. That's it. That's an agreement. When she contested it in court, that was now off the table. So she still had cashed the other check, which was fine. I didn't care. The issue was, we wanted to make sure that at that point, it behooved me to go through everything. If she was going to sue me, she waited months to sue me. She finally did. When she did, we just went through all the paperwork, and I spent about an hour, maybe an hour and a half on everything, going through it. And that's where we ended up. So had she just not sued, she would have kept hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of more dollars. But because she did, because I warned, it ended up costing her a good chunk of money. Now, I'm sure she's not losing sleep over it. I'm sure she's glad to be done. Me, it's on to the next one. We don't have a next one right now, so I'm thankful for that. But what I would tell you is that knowing that she'd never gone through this process before, I knew it was scary for her. She mentioned multiple times, she's like, man, you really do this a lot. Was I going to disclose to her that I've done this 30 times in 24 years? Think of anything that you've done 30 times in 24 years. Because you only do it once a year, you've probably forgotten a lot of how to do it, honestly. And it's like, oh yeah, I got to do this. Oh yeah, I got to do that. So what I would tell you is be prepared. If you're prepared and you understand exactly what these proceedings are going to look like, and you can get experience outside of having to go through it yourself, you can be much more prepared than the counterparty. And if you're much more prepared than the counterparty, you have a significant advantage just understanding the process, how it goes, how the judge is going to treat you when you're in front of them, how the moderator or the mediator is going to treat you throughout. It's being prepared. And this is what it takes to become elite. This is what I talk about all the time. So if you're new from Bigger Pockets and you're here hanging out, I'm glad you're here. Super pumped to be a part of your journey. Would love to answer any questions that you guys have. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's do a bunch of questions because I don't know, it'll be fun. Come on, guys, this will be fun. And our good buddy Dion, it is 9 a.m. there, so we're not going to expect him to chime in, even though he probably will. Wayne Wong, good to see you, sir. Rinks Rentals, good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Haven't caught a live in a while. I know, but good to see you. Josic, good to see you from beautiful and amazing New Jersey. Jason Calasabetta, good evening, Matt and everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you for commenting on the video on Bigger Pockets. I appreciate it. Invest Average, I like the video. Thank you. Nicole Weigel, 1758. Hey, everyone. Hi, Nicole. You are the GOAT. I'm definitely not. I appreciate you saying I'm definitely not the GOAT. I'm really good at what I do. I'm elite at it. But it took decade plus to get elite at it, and I didn't have anybody to learn with, and so I made a lot of really expensive mistakes. I appreciate you saying that I'm the GOAT. There's definitely people that are better at this than me, but there's very, very, very few that manage the size portfolio I do with the size of staff that I have, that with the margins that I'm able to maintain. That's the most fun part. Cameron Samini, good to see you, sir. Fired the PM this week. Here goes nothing. Yeah, but you're in the right place to do that, right, my man? Yeah, excited to do that with you. Amazing work on Bigger Pockets. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It was actually a lot of fun. Loved working with Dave. It was a real good time. Yeah, real good time. Enjoyed the time with Dave a lot. Hopefully get to do it again. Angel Ray, Lumberjack on Bigger Pockets. I was. Thank you so much for noticing. Laura, good to see you. Invest Average. You should be a keynote speaker next BP Con. Oh, I would love that. I don't think it's going to happen. I would love to be on stage in any capacity with those guys, just because I know that they put great crowds together and people really value a lot of what they see there. So I would love to. If Bigger Pockets is looking for somebody to be on stage for 45 minutes and share something, I'm happy to do it. Would love to help try and make a further impact. Let's see. Jeannie gets real. I like the name, Jeannie. Just found you on Bigger Pockets yesterday. Thank you so much for saying it. It was a good time. BuzzTune. Hey, all. Great PP interview. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I appreciate it. SK. Hey, Matt. What's up? Nothing. Just got my Bigger Pockets thing done. You guys are going to see a pretty awesome surprise in the next week or two. For those of you who have not taken the course, I want to put something in your guys' hands that helps you with things. And so you guys are going to see something really cool that we're going to release in the next week or two. We're very, very close to releasing it, and I'm excited to have you guys get your hands on it. HOA Pres, our Section 8 PHA is sending out notices to tenants that one's Section 8 voucher have a 2-year limit. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we've been talking about here as well. It'll be interesting to see if it actually gets held up, if they actually follow through with it. Here locally, 2 of the HAs or PHAs are telling people that they need to make sure that they have a job. I love that. I love hand ups. I hate handouts. Ryan Baker, I'm saving up for the next rental, about $7,000 a month. Where would you save or invest the cash while you wait for the next purchase? So I don't know that for me, it's always about capital preservation. So what I would probably do is I would probably take some of that money and invest it in units if you know that you can get more of a return. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is buying the next one as opposed to optimizing, like I talk about in the ASO strategy, which is acquire, stabilize, optimize. You guys have heard me say it. I used to say it all the time. I've started saying it less because I found that a lot of people weren't optimizing. I didn't want to hammer you guys in the head with it, but Optimization is where it gets, if you're at stabilized, which means you're rented and you make decent returns and maybe you're making 8 to 10% after expenses. That's nice. But what if you could optimize, you can get it to 18? That's the crazy part about this. And then all of a sudden you're finally making more money than your property manager is, because in most cases, PMs make more money than the actual owner of the asset. Seems criminal. I hate that. That's why I made the course, is because I want to make as many landlords elite as possible. Now, that doesn't mean self-managing. That means you could self-manage and become elite. That also means that you can become elite by knowing how to manage your PM. Cameron said it earlier. He fired his PM this week. He's in the course. He's in the boot camp. What gave him the confidence to fire his PM? It's in the course. It's in the boot camp. He has strategies now that he can manage the properties. Here goes nothing. Yeah, he's going to try it on his own. Now, you can always go back to a PM, but most importantly, you need to know how to manage that PM so you get the result that you want. You can't have PMs making more money than you and working less than you on your own properties. That's a major no-no. So, guys, I know that on the screen you have the ability to hit hearts and get that thing going. Would love to see what that does. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can hit hearts. You can hit 1,000 or 100%. You can hit party favor. Would love to see what that does when we all start hitting that. So go ahead, tickle that 100%. Yeah, so I would look, Ryan, I would look specifically at your existing assets, and I would see if you could improve your returns. If improving your returns on an existing asset is far higher than buying another asset, then there you have your answer. I can tell you, I've worked with enough bankers, and that's where we want to work. We want to work with senior lenders, and we want to work with VPs who manage our portfolios with us. They're far more impressed by people that actually optimize than they are by people that just acquire a bunch. They're underwhelmed by people that acquire a bunch because they've seen the story as old as time. And you never know when the bank is going to say, stop. We're all full here. We don't want any more of your debt. So if you have stuff that they never say that, ever say that when you've optimized, because they say this guy gets a property, gets in there, within a year, it's making plenty of money. We see his costs go down because he's acquired it. Now he's stabilized it. And then the next year we're going to watch and he's going to see significant increases in rents because he's done all the things that he needed to do in order to get greater return. That's what you guys will see. Angel Ray, did you get your Section 8 payments? Yes, I did. I've been seeing a lot of landlords saying they haven't gotten payments. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, got all mine. Hey, Kyle Dorn, good to see you. Fresh retiree, retiring with real estate. Jason Calisabetta, I got my Section 8 payments here in Chicago. That's fantastic. Was the tenant always difficult? No, tenant wasn't. That's a great question. Tenant wasn't always difficult. She was rarely difficult. She just, she was smart. She was a hard worker, good credit score, paid on time. Just sometimes I think, had other priorities going on. And so she forgot to get the fuel filled, or she would come home after being gone for a few days. And that's when the batteries died. And maybe she just didn't know enough to try and figure it out. Of course, she could have Googled it, but it's okay. Hi, Ms. Millie, new to the channel. Heard you on Kirby's podcast. Oh, Ms. Millie, thank you so much. Yeah, Kirby. Guys, Kirby is an awesome. I actually have an interview with him that we're queuing up to share with you guys. Awesome short-term, mid-term rental guy. You are going to love him. I think he was one of my absolute favorite in this new series that I'm doing for you guys. He was honestly one of my absolute favorites. In fact, let's put him in there. Yeah, absolutely one of my favorites. Super awesome investor. You guys are going to learn a lot from him. There's no doubt. SK, if you've an unpermitted ADU in my rental property and looking to refi, is it expected the lender appraisal will not give value to it in a valuation and not include rent coming in from the DSCR, from a DSCR calculation? Depends on who the DSCR vendor is. What I would do is I would make sure that it's legal. If, that would be the first thing that would make me run away from that lender, in all honesty. Or I would have a stipulation with that lender that would say, hey, we're going to go through the process and we're going to get it legalized. The challenge with illegal is that they know that if you have a property that is not properly permitted, many states will let the tenant sue you and recover their rent over a period of time that they've already paid you because it was not a legal dwelling unit. MPC, hello. Good to see you, Robert. Flavio from Grandview, Washington. Good to have you. HOA Pres, the unwritten rule in Santa Clara County is that one is not evicted between Thanksgiving and New Year. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think for California, it's a lot worse than that. Chris Culp, hi Matt. Sorry I missed Thanksgiving weekend boot camp. That's okay. I was caught up with my family. Heard it was great discussion. Ready to buy some cabinets. Very cool. We're ready for you on all fronts. We have a new designer. She's absolutely fantastic. For those of you who don't know, I also own a cabinet company. And it's because we had to try and keep our costs down. And I realized that I was just writing massive checks to a cabinet company. Went through the process, got storefront, the whole 9 yards to be able to become a rep for these cabinets. And if you're in my boot camp, we actually allow you access, and we do it for just over wholesale cost. Jay Mullis, hi Matt and everyone. Freezing here in Rochester. Yeah, Jay, you ain't kidding, my man. It is freaking freezing here. Martin Properties, I'm here and running while I listen. Josh, I'm tired just feeling you do the run. Larry Bird, Lumberjack Landlord in the house. Yes, sir. Good to have you, sir. HOA Pres, I don't want the whole story, but show me the evidence. That's the attitude of most judges. Yeah, I think so, largely speaking. And so that's why one of the reasons that we do what we call a sequence of events. We do a timeline. What's really neat about that is that the judge doesn't feel like you're wasting their time. So if I hand that judge a timeline, and when you go to court, here's the rule: you do not bring one copy for yourself. You bring a copy for yourself, a copy for the judge, and a copy for the other party in the case. You must do that. If you do that, it shows that you're professional. It shows that you're conscientious. And most importantly, they can then follow along, and then you are managing the narrative. That is the most powerful thing in a court of law. The rule is he who controls the language controls the outcome. Now, obviously, the judge controls the outcome, but it's a saying. It's a saying. I don't know. I said something really offensive. 10 people just dropped. Being a nice guy really works. People usually will abuse it. That is true. Usually I have to call them out and I have to say, please don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I am more than happy to go to court over this matter. However, I would like to work it out outside of court. But if we are at an impasse, then we will just have to go down the court path. Now, here's the thing. This tenant moved out in April. Let's do the math. She got her check back at the end of April, early May. So May, June, July, August is when they filed their lawsuit. September, I worked on it. I was notified, had a number of days, blah, 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 was getting prepared to put my response together. October, the last week of September, first week of October, we get a date that it's going to be in December. That's going to be the hearing. So August, we don't get a hearing until December. She moved out in April. So from April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, 9 months. 9 months to wrap this thing up. Now, could I have lost? It's always possible. It's always possible to lose. However, I didn't feel like I would lose. And so I was more than happy to go through the process. Because I had to put in time, we went through all the expenses with a fine-tooth comb and made sure that the number was the number. That's one of the things. And we were gracious. We were gracious in the beginning, trying to agree to a lesser number. But when you bring me to court, that nullifies the agreement. And now we're going to sue you. Now we're just going to countersue you. Sarah Vonnen, you're very welcome for the live. I'm happy to be here. HOA, a deadbeat told me that you can't get blood out of a turnip, so I took the turnip. Yeah, well said. And you can. I have a landlord that I know of. It's not my style, but it's what he does. But this other landlord, literally what they do is they take all of these to court. They always file small claims. They always get judgments. And then they actually have a person that basically just manages those. And this person gets checks every single week from a stack of tenants over the years that even if he gets the judgment for 15 or 20 bucks, he still tracks it, still manages it, and still collects on it. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every single week come in based on what other tenants have done in the past. It's not really my style, but I get it. I get it. Omid, good to see you, sir. Hey, Matt, good to see you again. Do you have any advice for renting units in winter? I have 2 units getting renovated now, which will be available in January. Yeah, what I would try and do is I would try to get ahead of it and just say, hey, taking names now taking appointments now on units that are going to be ready in, January X date. The challenging thing is you don't have any pictures. So what you try and do is you can try and render some pictures if you want. Just be very clear that they are a rendering and that they are not the actual, if you have design in mind. And you can take the space and then pay somebody on Fiverr or something like that to update the pictures to make them look like what your finishes are going to look like. It's not the worst idea. That's the way to get ahead of it. For us, we just never know exactly when the unit's going to be done. They could miss by a week. They could miss by 2 weeks. And so the most important thing to us is if you're going to miss by any amount of time, I need to make sure that I don't have the unit committed. So we like to wait until they're really close to done before we do that. Then we take pics because a lot of times a picture says 1,000 words. But the option that I gave you is certainly one that we've used in the past as well. Hopefully that helps, Omid. Angel Ray, thinking of pulling a HELOC on my paid off duplex to stay liquid for 2026 deals. Smart move in today's market, or better to keep stacking cash? I think you still keep stacking cash. I think you do. I think you can certainly pull a HELOC if you're comfortable with that strategy. And then you can always not spend it. You don't have to spend it. So you can always not spend it. For me, yeah. I mean, Ford, the difference between Ford and GM is Ford levered a bunch of its assets before the great financial crisis. GM didn't. GM had to be bailed out by the government. Ford didn't. Ford ran a better business. I like GM product better, but Ford ran a better business. They were just way further ahead of it. Josh Burdick, yo. Good evening, Lumberjack. Congrats on the BP video. You hit it out of the park. Josh Burdick, thank you very much for saying. I really appreciate that. That was nice of you. California Wine Guide, that sounds intriguing. Enjoyed your BP episode. California Wine Guide, thank you very much. I appreciate that you enjoyed it. That's awesome. That's always the hope. HOA as a prospective tenant, when filling out the application, had his car repossessed in the parking lot. Ooh, that is what you call a opportunity limiting event. True story. Alex, the accidental investor. Good to see you, sir. Hey, Matt, nice work on BP. Alex, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying so. Hopefully you and your lovely bride are doing well. Summertime Santa. Good evening, Summertime Santa. Good to see you. Now it's wintertime Santa that will have to make an appearance. Luke Devine. Hey, Lumber. I have about 100 hit leads that I'm pre-qualified to buy on in 30 days. I do not have the time to make all of these calls. Any suggestions on how I can outsource this? Luke Devine, how and which part of it, hit me down below with what part you want to outsource, if that makes sense. Summertime Santa, what was the rundown of your top picks for this Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Great question. I didn't do any Black Friday, Cyber Monday shopping. None of it. Didn't do any of it. We'd been gone for 2 weeks in Nashville, as you guys saw. If you were in the boot camp or if you watched my lives, we were in Nashville for 2 solid weeks. So I was out of pocket. Only got a few calls on the units, but had a bunch of stuff that I know that we're working on to get ready for the end of the year. And so when we got back, it was 23-hour drive back from Nashville to New Hampshire. Got stuck in a massive snowstorm that was just rolling on me. It was brutal. I was in that for hours. And so it took 23 hours to get back. The second day of our leg, we left the hotel a little bit before 9 a.m. and rolled into the driveway at just about 2 a.m. It's a long day. And I know that's not 23 hours. We did a bunch of traveling the day before as well. Let's see. I found the right screen orientation. They're all up to you. You can do vertical. You can do horizontal. They are completely your call. Page Andromerus. Hi. Got to check out the Lumberjack at Bigger Pockets. Greetings from sunny New Hampshire. Where are you in sunny New Hampshire? It's chilly here right now. Don't tell them it's sunny either, because people might come here. Invest average. I'm going to put 2 new bathrooms upstairs. Thus, course can help with that. Absolutely. We talk a lot about that. We talk a lot about rehabs, remodels. And then when you get more advanced, you get kind of comfortable doing that and you kind of get some muscle memory, then you can actually start to do gut rehabs. And when you do gut rehabs, then you get a real feel for that. And then you can start to do actual development where it's like you take over a shell and you can develop the entire inside, like I did the jail property, which is pretty cool. NPC, are you noticing more late payment tenants than usual? Yes, I've noticed tenants sliding a bit, but still paying along with fees. Yeah, so yes. Yep, definitely more people are more strained, but it's that time of year. You know, it's that Thanksgiving and Christmas time for sure. People are feeling pretty strapped, sadly, but true. HOA Press Section 8 PHA is saying don't have unauthorized tenants. That's true. It's bigger in areas that are more heavily IAs than what is usual. We don't have that problem really in our state. Just not a thing, really. So they haven't really said anything. Sarah Vanna getting featured in Bigger Pockets. Congrats, Matt. Thanks very much. It was truly super blessing. Had nothing to do with me, not much to do with me anyway. It was really the support of all the guys that have gone before me. Zub, you know, really, especially Dion, Coach, Christian. It was a lot of the guys that had gone before me that were in that same circle. Frankly, I was the last one to get on out of all of them. Totally fine, not bitter about it. It's totally cool. I'm the biggest liability out of the entire group for sure. But yeah, it was an honor. It was really an honor and great to be on. Really liked my time with Dave and quite frankly, his whole staff. His whole staff was awesome. They were great to work with. Went and left a comment on BP glazing up you good. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's always awesome. HOA Press HUD has a hotline so one can report fraud, drug dealing, unauthorized tenants. Very interesting. I wonder who's going to do that. Right. Matt was glowing on BP. Dream come true. Ian, absolutely. Yeah, it was awesome. It was so much fun. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. It was a dream. Honestly, it was a dream come true. It's something that I never wanted to do a channel, but when I did, I was like, yeah, kind of the pinnacle of that is Bigger Pockets, especially when I started in doing this. Really, the big thing was them helping out the small, like Coach talks about, small, mighty investor. Like Dion talks about, which is not having to own a bunch of rentals. But, you know, one of the things that Dion and I talk a lot about is right sizing. You know, what do you feel comfortable with? Do you want to be 3? Do you want to be 7? Do you want to be 15? Do you want to be 150? Do you want to be 1,000? The cool thing is for me, I could be 500 in 2 years if I wanted to. Don't want that. It's not what I'm going for. What I want is that donkey choking cash level. That's what I want. But I want it from the least amount of effort. And so once we finish these massive construction projects that we have going on, which we're pretty close on, once we finish these massive construction projects, guess what? Pretty well done, guys. As far as rehabbing goes, I might do stuff as it comes up and comes along, but it's going to have to be a really awesome project if it's something I'm going to want to do. Like it's going to have to be on par with, like, I don't know, doing a jail. Like I rehabbed a jail. It's going to have to be on par with that because that was a lot of fun. Let's see. The Ramirez real estate team. Hello, Matt and the whole community. Good to have you back, Ramirez team. Good to have you. Victor Manuel Pena. Hi, Victor. Don't recognize your name, so welcome. Hey, champion. I appreciate that. What's up, man? Hey, I'm from the Dominican Republic, and I'm trying to improve my English grammar. So please, any advice from you is going to be very helpful. Thanks in advance. Improving your English and your grammar. In all honesty, I don't say this facetiously. I know a number of immigrants, and how they got really good at English was honestly watching Sesame Street. Not joking. Seriously. It teaches you a lot of the core foundational items that you need. The other thing too is really good is Hooked on Phonics. That's also a very good product. So yeah, as you're trying to learn that, as you're trying to understand that, the other thing too is always keep a dictionary next to you. That way, when you hear a word that you don't understand, take the time, open it up, look it up, and that will make you better. I've actually done that. I've actually done that for friends. And I joke with them now that they probably speak better English than I do. And they said, sometimes you make fun of my English. And I said, I would never make fun of your English. And they said, why? And I said, because you speak English almost as well as I do, but I don't speak your language nearly as well as you do. So I'm glass house over here. Nothing I can do. I was like, you make me look silly. By the way, here's like your brother, respect and love. Appreciate you, man. Always great to have you. Thanks, Matt, for your support to the real estate industry. Oh man, I'm doing my best. Man, I want to see real estate agents succeed. I want to see them excel. I want to see them reach next level. And they're just not going to get there just selling one house at a time. That is the wrong strategy. They need to be taking these opportunities to reduce their monthly nut, get into a place where they have roommates and they can start to house hack. And then they can do it for a year and do some work in the house and learn some skills. And then they can do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again. I did it 9 times in 13 years. PTO for Life has done it 9 times in about the same amount of time. But they're going to beat the record. They're going to beat the record. They're likely going to get probably 10, 11, 12 because they like that lifestyle. I love that for them. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to give them that crown if there was one because it doesn't fit my head. A local homeless shelter CEO has a $400K a year annual salary. Sounds right. Sounds right. Ooh, that's good. Yeah. Angel Ray, how do you deal with the crawl space terrace basements that get moisture in winter? Vapor barrier helped a bit. What's your long-term fix in these cases? So usually what we'll do is we will put Roxol up in between the joists. We will then, that will help with the cool transfer. The other thing we do is we put stone down on the floor. We then put plastic, 3 mil plastic over the stone. And then the last step that we do is something called an EGR. It's, or is it an EGX? It's one of the two. But basically what it is an air transfer machine. It actually takes air from the outside and brings it into the space. And the reason that it does that is because it can actually, and it essentially acts as not only an air exchanger, but very, very, very efficient. Look them up, air exchangers. But that will actually help change the temperature in your basement as well. Yeah, no joke. Those are the 3 or 4 things that I would do. After that, you're looking at much more expensive fixes, but that's what I would do on the lower side. Ms. Millie, a great question. Looking to build in northern part of the Midwest. Should I do a crawl space or a full basement with harsh winters? Me personally, I think the fact that a slab costs what a slab costs and a basement costs what a basement costs, I think the basements are well worth their money. You're never going to be sorry that you have the extra storage. You're never going to be sorry that you have the extra space. You're never going to be sorry. What I would do is I would make sure that you dig deeper and build taller. That way, if they ever really get even more advanced with the housing laws that they have, you can maybe turn it into another unit. Always build with the future in mind. HOA Prez. I told some recent CS graduates that there was a good chance that their degree might be obsolete. Sad but true. SK. Typically, how much % down do you put when buying properties nowadays? What's rough rate you get, and do you cash flow from day one or after you stabilize? Looking how to buy my next one. That's great. So here's what I would do. So right now, I'm still between 20 and 30%, depending on what type of asset that I'm buying. Rate wise, I'm high 6s, mid to high 6s, depending on which product I use. Because I can go DSCR, I can do the product that I invented for the bank, that one of the banks that I work with. I could go a pure commercial loan with a 5 or a 7 year adjustable rate at the 5 or 7 year time frame. So yeah, I'm between 20 and 30% down. I'm between 6.5 and 7.25%. Excuse me. And I will always cash flow day one. The only exception is we rent box backwards. So I base it on my rent box on the 17 different criteria that I track. And then I look at what those local rents are based on, even though I own 153 of them, I still look at my rent box and I say, yeah, those units are vastly under rented based on the neighborhood, where they are, the quality of them, etc. Or I have to spend this much money and make them X. But I usually use that number, work backwards. And so if I can see that in a year I can be cash flow, I'm not going to spend $1,000 a month out of pocket. But one of the cool things is, as you get bigger, or if you're not doing a BRRRR and you're doing a construction loan like I teach you to, you'll have more than enough money to get that job done and have a locked in rate and be ready for when the unit is done to actually bring it back to the market and actually get a fair market rent. If it's negligible, if it's like, well, they're getting $1,200, but really fair market rent's like $1,350. that's kind of squishy. But I find properties where rents were, so we did a fourplex. The rents were $1,200 a piece. And as soon as somebody left and I redid their unit, guess what happened? I redid their unit. I only spent about $7,000 and the rent went from 12 to 19. 12 to 19. It's $700 a month. $700 a month. Yeah. That's $8,400 a year. So I covered my cost on redoing the unit the way that what needed to be redone. I covered my cost. I did it in about 8 or 9 months, but the next unit, that's happening as well. We got another unit coming up in that building in the springtime. That tenant's going to leave. They're also at $1,200. They're going to go to $1,900 as well. Then that's 7 and then 7. When I bought that property, my monthly net income was only about $400. Wasn't that good, but I only for a deposit, my deposit was minimal. So my return was still about 6 or 7%, not very good after expenses, 6 or 7%. But I saw the path. And the cool thing is that now that unit's rental, now it's not, $400. Now it's $700 plus the 400. Now it's 11. Well, now I'm within a year, I'm at 11 return on my, about, I don't know, $70,000 deposit thereabouts. So I'm 11 times 12 months. So I'm over $13,000, 13 on the 70. Well, guess what? Now I'm getting close to 20% return on my capital. Now, when that next unit goes and I add that one back in, guess what? It's going to give me another $700 or $800 a month on top of that. So now I'm not going to be 11. Now I'm going to be more like 18. Well, that 18 translates into 36, 21.6, 21.6 on my $75,000 or 70,000 ish. So I'm 21.6 on that. Well, guess what? Now I'm 21.6 on 70. Now I'm 30%. Well, I've still got 2 units left to do a little bit of rehab work and put back in the market. Life's looking pretty good, eh? So that deal didn't massively cash flow day one, but because I understood what it was, what the market rents were, and how everything was going in that building, and I also had the capital to do those minor projects there. Yeah, it's worked really, really well. It's a great return. Jack Stewart enjoys real estate and pumpkin pie. Can't leave out the pumpkin pie. What decision you've made that you regretted? I used to be too nice and I used to not file papers fast enough. Yeah, let's work it out. I know you're trying. Let's work it out. I know you're trying. Let's work it out. Nope. Now, the right way to do this, absolutely every single time, the right way to do it is get them paperwork on time, on schedule, show that you're following the lease and say, but give them a heads up first and say, hey, listen, I'm sending this paperwork over to you. Yes, it's a demand for rent and an eviction paperwork. I'm doing that because now you can actually go seek help. We did that last month with somebody. We've gone through the process. Now we're working with welfare, and welfare has said, hey, listen, they've taken in a kid on adoption, blah, blah, blah. We can't have them homeless. Yes, of course, I understand. They said, if you're willing to push off doing anything for 60 days on the eviction, we'll actually cover the rent the next 2 months. And any money that they make, they'll pay basically to try and get the old balance down. Hey, kick the can down the road. That's fine with me in this particular case, because guess what? That's going to give me December and January. So the next time we're having a conversation is in February. Well, what's right around the corner? Spring, when there's going to be a bunch of units that I can actually put this thing out to market and actually get the thing rented and probably do pretty well. Luke Devine, if you want to outsource the cold calling, look up Jennifer Stewart. She's the last video that I did that wasn't alive on my channel. But look up Jennifer Stewart. They outsource all of that stuff. And they'll do all the way down to dispositioning. It's completely up to you how you want to utilize her team. But yeah, Jennifer Stewart, she's the right person to use. Her team is fantastic. HOA Pres, my local trade union, that they are getting apprentices with MS degrees in STEM. Not surprising. Everybody's going to be looking for a job. Looking from those white collar jobs that AI is going to take, and they're going to be looking for blue collar jobs. Good. We need a lot more plumbers and we need a lot more electricians. And I never thought that there was anything degrading about that. I think skilled trades are huge. And so I love that there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are going to have to enter in those trades, and they pay really well. I can tell you, I'm tired of paying $150 an hour for an electrician. That's for sure. Let's see. Art. Oh no. Oh yeah. Art. Good to have you, Art. As a previous sales guy, need advice. Currently a chemical account rep, role of a farmer. Yeah. Manager wants me to transition to a hunter. Small company with no guidance. What's the best path to be a great hunter? Ooh, you gotta love rejection, my man. You gotta love rejection. The one book that I would read is Solution Selling by Sam Bosworth. Understand the 9-box approach. That will make you better. You got to get really good at cold calling. You got to get really good at creating warm leads. Hunters make a lot more money than farmers. They just do. So I was never a farmer. I was always a hunter. And I made a lot more money than any of the farmers did. But very risky. It's risky. It's very hard, really hard to do. You have to have a solution that you can, that people need. You have to be in an industry that gets attention. You have to know that you're even in a downturn that you're going to get space in the budget to do what needs to be done. There's a lot of things to consider there. I had really long processes for considering roles that I wanted. I had very long processes. Yeah. Dendromerus Hudson. Hey, what's up? Yeah, cold is. Oh, yeah, it is. Checking in to see if you're still considering the private consulting sessions. We do. Yeah. I mean, you can send me an email, lumberjacklandlord@gmail.com. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish in those sessions. And I'm happy to consider it. I love helping people. I'm more passionate about when I'm helping somebody that 15 other people are watching so they can gain benefits. So we can also create discussion from it. So that's why I love the boot camp approach. But if what you're highlighting in there is really specific to you and that's what you want to focus on, I'm sure I'd be happy to consider it. Yeah, happy to consider it. HOA Press, our local churches are helping tenants with 1 month's rent and help them move to cheaper part of the country. That's good. Smart. There's my buddy Dion. 10 a.m. What's Dion doing? He's in Phuket. He likes to say Phuket. We all know what it's actually called. Alex, we are great. My lovely bride was flattered that you mentioned her. We're going to Christian's event out at the Robin Hood tomorrow. Very cool. Tell him I say hi. I like mini donkeys. Well, duh. What's not to like about a mini donkey? That was one of the cool things about traveling through the countryside was we saw a lot of beautiful horses. Like going through Nashville and seeing the wealth that's there, but more importantly, seeing the massive farm properties where you just see these horses being worked, where you see them just running in the field in their pasture. You're like, yeah, I get why those things are so expensive. They are beautiful. Art, Lee says rent due on the first. Tenant said sent Zelle, and first time ever it says it should show up 1 to 3 days versus immediately. At this point, it would be late. What would you recommend? I would recommend having grace. I really would. I recommend having grace. I would mention to them and just say, hey, listen, I'm going to take care of the late fee this time. However, now it's a delay in Zelle for getting these payments moved over. What my recommendation would be is if we know it's going to be a couple of days, please just make sure that you're making the payment where it actually hits on the first, not hits on the third or the fourth, because we can't control the Zelle piece. But have grace, be reasonable. Let's not rule with an iron fist. People are people. And I think you're asking for that confirmation, so I'm not coming down on you, but that's what I would do. Dion likes the Tijuana donkeys. Nice. Invest average, watch movies to better English and practice speaking it. Totally agree. That's why I think that stuff is really good. Rinks Rentals, 3 house hacks here, searching for number 4. Rinks, love that. That is awesome. I love 3. Now you go for 4. Alex, I'm going to house hack my way into a nursing home. It's not the wrong approach. I'd have been totally fine in continuing to house hack. My wife didn't want to continue to do it. So I love my wife. I was more than happy to compromise and not do it anymore. That was my goal. I would have been totally fine with it, but that's not what she wanted. So that's okay. That was something I was willing to acquiesce. NBC, finding good contractors. Is there any way to shortcut it, or am I just going to have to cycle through idiots? Yeah, cycle through idiots. Yep. So bad experiences with people on Facebook groups. Yeah, I mean, me too. Really bad. That's why I would talk to other landlords. Talk to other landlords, what their experience was, how the things were carried out. Guys, I kissed a lot of frogs. That's one of the reasons that I have everything quoted 3 times. It gives me the opportunity to get new people in that I haven't met before. In the JL process, there's 3 people that I would work with again, and there's 4 contractors that I would never call again. I will never call them again, ever, as in ever. Yeah, 4 of them I would never contact again. I'm not going to say who they are, but I would never work with those 4 contractors again. Yeah, true story. Angel Ray, it's not worth adding a dehumidifier to a dirt basement with a vapor barrier. The problem that you have is that those dehumidifiers, they can cost an absolute fortune running them. You get a good one that's $200 to $300. You could up your bill. You could up your electric bill 30, 40, 50 bucks a month. And the dehumidifier is nice, but let's try and handle it more naturally and really get the space done. Those air exchangers, they are more efficient than the dehumidifiers. And again, because it's just really kind of moving air from different spaces, your bill doesn't go up nearly as much. Those dehumidifiers, they're like air conditioners. You can actually see a market move in your electric bill. That's all I'm trying to save you off. Like, yeah, the idea of a dehumidifier, fantastic. The problem is the expense of running it. Usually it gets pretty expensive. Invest Storage, I'll be purchasing your course today as my early Christmas gift. Congratulations. I really appreciate you trusting me to be on your journey with you. Look forward to it. And then feel free, as you're going through the course, there's a great community in there. Pretty awesome. There's hundreds of people that have taken the course, but always Thursdays, you know where you can find me. Hit me up. I'll answer a question for you. Angel Ray, it's not worth adding a dehumidifier to a dirt basement with a vapor barrier. Yeah, no. HOA Prez, a mathematician was working on a problem for 20 years and after using AI for 6 months was able to solve it. Love that. Love that and hate that all at the same time. Hey, Chester, what's up, pal? Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Speaking of, where's Hyder? I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving too, Hyder, if you're not here, but good to see you. I hope you're doing well, pal. Let's see. HOA Prez. If a tenant doesn't have 30 days of rent on the first of the month, then he won't have 60 days of rent in 30 days. That's very true. I think sometimes, though, with how things fall, I totally agree with you, but that's why I would post the papers and I would work through the process with them, but I'm not going to lose all the time that it takes to get to that step, if that makes sense. Good evening, sir. Happy to see you on Bigger Pockets, I think is what you meant. I appreciate that. It was an awesome journey. Really enjoyed it. The guys were great. Let's see. Marland RE. Good evening, Marland RE. Nice to meet you. Ryan Baker, gotta run. Thanks for the advice. You're awesome. Ryan Baker, you're welcome. Hopefully that does help you. NPC, LOL. That's why in Keene, I go to Ready on First for contract recommendations. I have some stupid little things that I want to test people before the big project in Allenstown. Totally agree with you. 1000% right. Ms. Millie, loving this live. I've learned a lot. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, Ms. Millie. I'm excited to have you here. Love it when our community grows. It's kind of light, honestly, for a Thursday night. Only 40 people in here. That's kind of light. Guys, feel free to jump in with your questions. We're going to spend probably another 20 minutes to a half an hour here with you tonight, answering your questions. Again, love to have you guys. Love for you guys to learn things. Book update. Oh, dear God, Dion. Why Dion always asks the hard questions? I hate that question. The book update is I've spent 0 time on the actual book that we're doing, on in the group with Dion did his book under the one rental at a time umbrella, if you will. I'll be doing the same. You guys don't know what the book is yet, but you guys will start to see some stuff about that. It was going along really well until about 60 days ago when just everything, end of year, excited about Bigger Pockets and doing that. And then this major project that I'm working on, which is bigger than the book, which you guys will see soon. But yeah, lots going on, but that's the book update. The book update is no progress on the previous. Does Bigger Pockets have snacks? So I had virtual donuts. I had the most delicious virtual steak I've ever had. Guys were gracious. It was good being able to spend time and hang out with them. But yeah, to that end, yes, they do have snacks. In person, they also have snacks. But yes, the virtual snacks were quite delicious and filling. Calorie free, though. Matt Weiner, Matt Weiner 32. Are you a proponent of getting out of any kind of bad debt before investing in real estate? No. i.e. pay off student loans before buying a 2 to 4 unit. No, absolutely not. Nope, I'm not. Everybody's case is different, but largely speaking, if you have living expenses, i.e. you're paying $1,500 a month in rent or $2,000 a month in rent or whatever, ideally I want that to be against a mortgage, and you can move in with as little as 3.5% down. I tell you, I helped out a 24-year-old kid. He had $8,800 as a down payment on a fourplex. The day he moved in, he was making $1,000 a month. And it's not like this was 20 years ago. This was literally just maybe a year or two ago. It's still possible. You can still find those deals. He moved in because there's a bunch of new people. I'll share it with you, but he moved in 4 units. He was living in 1 unit, spent a little bit of time and money rehabbing that unit, but lived in that 1 unit and was making over $1,000 a month and living there for free. So he took his expenses of living somewhere else, which were about $1,200 to $1,500 a month. That disappeared. Now that's $1,200 a month that he doesn't have to spend this back in his pocket. So now his unit free. Now he's also making $1,000 on top. So now he's actually bringing in $2,200 to $2,400 a month on that building. What did that mean? 18 months later, he was buying another rental, and one that he moved into. Now, when he moved out of his unit, he was actually able to rent it for 15. So he got 15 plus about $1,200, which was what his numbers were when he left. He's now making $2,700 a month after expenses on that 4 unit. $2,700 a month after expenses. Moves into the new place. The new place, he's spending a little bit more money, right? He's got the upstairs covering most of his mortgage, and he's got about an $800 a month nut. But the $800 a month nut is half the price of what that type of unit, maybe even 40% the price of what that type of unit would rent for. Still making $2,700 on the old one. Life is good. Life is good. Matt Winter, 32. I have 6 properties. 2 of them are duplexes, but I still rent. Next move, buy an owner-occupied 2 to 4 unit with a low down payment. Yes, sir. That's what I would do. That's if I were in your shoes and I have other performing assets, I want to move into something where I can get the very low down payment, move in, and it still has to cash flow. Like, what would you normally be paying? Like, but again, if my rent is $1,800 and my mortgage, my portion of the mortgage in a house hack, if that's also $1,800, I'd rather get it in the house because it's giving me a better return. I'm going to have all these tax deductions that I don't have as a renter. So hopefully that's helpful. Kid City hint. What's the hint, Kid City? What's the hint, man? Oh, have you volunteered to teach homeschool kids financial lessons? Yes. I don't know who that is, but yes. So we will definitely be doing, my kids are homeschooled. One of the really cool things about it is that they go to what's called a co-op where there's a bunch of other families involved and there's a ton of other entrepreneurs there. So I love watching the other parents do their thing. And yeah, we're basically, what I'm waiting for is, and it's not like, oh, well, I'll always have something. Like, legitimately, I have 3 big, huge projects. I finished one, got that one wrapped up. I've got 2 others. The jail is one that's a month away from finishing. And then I've got another one that just needs some building straightening out and then sheetrock, flooring, and cabinets. And then that one's done. Once those are done, which is probably early spring, once all those are done, then yeah, my plate's kind of clear. I'm not looking at bringing on more projects. We had a couple of other big remodels that we did and some what we call unit conversions from commercial to residential. And so once we get those done, like I said, early spring, all that stuff should be wrapped up. That's kind of lower hanging fruit. But once that stuff all gets done, then yeah, I don't have another project. I actually turned down 2 deals that came across my desk in the last couple weeks. I turned them down both. One of them would have made like 30 grand in maybe 90 to 120 days. Not interested. It just wasn't a fit, cause I don't know where the market's going to be. So for all I know, in 90 to 120 days, I'm not able to sell it for what I thought I could sell it for. So for me, I don't want to catch a falling knife. I don't feel comfortable with where the market is right now and forecasting in 4 months. And it doesn't make the issue is that the only way it makes money is if I sell it. If I rent it, it doesn't make money. If I lease option to buy, it doesn't make money. There's nothing about it that makes money unless I flip it. So when I only have one off ramp, those are the types of strategies that make me nervous. Kid City, who are you? I'd love to know. HOA Press, LA now has entire apartment buildings vacant because of illegal aliens going back home. Interesting. Ms. Millie, more questions? Oh, so many. What are your thoughts on having only a mini split in the cold North Woods? Just did reno on a cabin with quartzite in the kitchen and cultured marble in the bath. Need heat in the winter. Yes, ma'am. So Ms. Millie, here's what I would do. Yes, you can get away with those mini splits. With mini splits, I always have backup. So here's what I would do. I would make sure that at least in a couple spaces in the unit that you have some 8-footers, 8 or 10-footers if you can get them, but I would have at least a few 8-footers, electric baseboard heat with the thermostat on them, so it's not meant for normal use. But when you get that 0 temperature, those mini splits, they will have a tough time keeping up. Those heat pumps will have a tough time keeping up. And especially that's when when they're overworked, that's when they fail. So I like to augment that. And the way that I think the best way to augment that, the least expensive way to augment that is usually an 8-foot piece of baseboard and the wiring to it. And, the electrical work to get it into the panel. Most of the time that if you have an electrician there for a day, they can usually get 3 of those pieces in. You're looking at about $900 in materials. Loosely speaking, about $900 materials between the breakers and the Romex and the 8-footers. So you're usually about $900 in materials. You might be about the same amount, but now you have a fully redundant, full backup system that if for some reason one of those heat pumps quit, you still have fuel, you still have heat. So that's what I would do if I were in your shoes. In fact, that's what I do. NPC, mice and rats are some areas just worse than others. Yes. I was talking to my pest control and he said more dense areas are problems along with the people who are being slumlords. The problems move over to me. That's absolutely true. So if you start seeing pest control at your neighbors' houses, you need to get a couple of rat stations or mice stations. They're these little black boxes. You'll see them in restaurants a lot of times because they flock to restaurants. They have a hole on each side. They have bait in the middle. Make sure that you find the right bait because if it's the wrong bait, guess what happens? It takes 7 days for them to die. They could be anywhere when they die, like in your wall, and they stink when they decompose. So that's one of the things that I would absolutely do is get some outside trap stations. If you then get an active problem, then you need to be setting traps. Peanut butter is the key. They love that. And then just put a little bit of mouse food on there that you get from the pet store. They actually love eating that stuff. But yeah, had the experience, sadly went through it. It was a nightmare. Let's see. Cameron, got to run. See you Saturday. I'm sure my wife and I will have quite a few questions to feel. That's okay. I'm ready. We'll see you in boot camp, my friend. Always appreciate the info. David Roth, you're very welcome. My pleasure. Always appreciate you coming to hang out and ask questions. Matt Wenner, appreciate you. Matt, not a problem. Happy to help, my man. Key, what's up, buddy? Matt, question. Attic has enough intake and exhaust vents. Is it a good idea to have a powerful exhaust gable fan in addition? And which is your recommendation on air exchanger for the crawl space? Thank you. So the air exchanger for the crawl space, I forget. I want to say it was like an EGR. I want to say was the name of it. There wasn't a brand that jumped out. I only have a couple of them, and they've been okay. They've been fine. They've operated fine. If you do a gable fan, the only thing that I would ask is I would make sure that I identify that the gable fan, like who's making the recommendations, have them explain it to you and show you the numbers and say, if you put a gable fan in, this is what it's going to do for you above and beyond what you already have. But I would just try and understand that because it might be an expense that you don't need, but it also might be an expense that you do need, but it also might be an expense that you don't necessarily need it, but it's good to have it because maybe in the summertime it's that much worse, or in the wintertime it's that much worse. So it's just better understanding what exactly this is going to deliver for me. And does that translate into either more financial savings from a heating and cooling perspective? Does it just make it more comfortable? Really just try to understand that piece. Because putting in, I mean, I know that you're in California and you're in a part of California where it's really expensive to kind of do anything, but to put a gable fan in where we are, that's like it's not a big project. It's like less than $1,000 project. So for us, if somebody said, yeah, you need a gable fan, I would just be like, all right, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old so I can understand what you're saying and what you're seeing up there that makes you think I need one. And then if they were at least a little bit convincing, I would probably be like, yeah, that's fine. Do it. Whatever. It's fine. Even if I turn it, even if it just knocks down my tenant's heat bill $20 a month, or cooling bill $20 a month, then it's that much less that they have to pay for those energy things. And, if I can do something that makes life easier for a tenant, we're doing one now. We're actually installing a higher moving exhaust fan above the stove, because one of the tenants in the building doesn't like the smell of that unit's cooking, because they use heavy spices, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, it's just one of those things that just really makes me kind of sick. So we're like, that's fine. So we're literally getting the most powerful one we can on the market, where it will really suck the air out, suck the smell out, and push it outside. So that's actually what we're doing. And again, is that something that I need? Did any other tenant ever have a problem with it? No, no, and no. But we'll do it, because you know what? We can do it for probably $500 or $600. And if that, it's just an investment in goodwill. And then the expectation is hopefully the tenant that renews. Matt Winter, appreciate you. Back at you. David Roth, random question. Do you know about Google Ads? Yes. Any use for them, or are they a thing of the past? I don't think they're a thing of the past. So yes, I understand them. I was a EVP of global sales and strategy, and marketing reported to me. So I would read those reports. So like pay-per-click, PPC, or SEO scoring, and Google ads, and the whole shooting match. I haven't had to talk about that really since I retired. But yeah, know them, understand them, know how they work. Facebook ads, the same thing. Instagram, all their ad strategies. We don't do any ad pushing on like our stuff. The only thing that we will put out there is units, like specifically units. Like we will do one on a property where we'll spend a few $100 on just getting that out there, and just seeing if we can get a much higher hit rate, and see if we can turn it around in the first weekend. We'll do that. NPC can never seem to get 100% rid of them, no matter how much poison is used and how many holes are sealed. Yeah, it's one of those weird things. Even my house was built in 2018. We still, in that change of season, we'll still see a couple of mice. It's weird that it happens. But yeah, they're almost always going to find a way. They only need something the size of a dime hole to make it in. So what I recommend is not only just the poison outside, but then also the traps inside, peanut butter and feed. And yeah, usually it gets it. Yep. Let's see. BuzzTune, the red unit from Saturday. Do you run rents lower for outside stairs? Good question. What maintenance look like over time for the exterior stairs and decking? Great question. So usually stringers, they'll last a real long time. Stringers will last 20, 30 years pretty easily. Stringers are the things that hold up and support the stairs. Stair treads, it depends on what material you used, how you affixed them. But usually PT, you get 10, 15 years out of pretty easily. Trex, we do Trex most of the time. Man, we started using Trex in the 90s. Not us, because we weren't investing then, but we started seeing it used in the 90s. We started using it probably in 03, 04. Those decks are still intact. They still operate fine, but we saw what they looked like in 03 and 04, and we'd be like, hey, how long ago did you install it? Yeah, like late 90s. Oh, okay. So it'd been in place for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Of course, that version of the product was different then, so it's changed quite a bit. Now some of the cheaper stuff is just more plasticky. BuzzTune. Oh no, gotcha. BuzzTune. Josh. Hey, Josh. Have you seen markets where single family residence cap rates are better? I don't know cap rates. So the reason I don't believe in cap rates is because you can skew the numbers too much. What I only care about is something called the ROC, my return on my capital. That's it. And return on capital is kind of like cash on cash. It is, if I put $10,000 in, how much money do I make on that $10,000 that I invested? So I don't ever use cap rates. 2 to 4 units don't even use cap rates. Cap rates are really meant for commercial properties, because they're meant for properties that can go up in value just based on what your rents are. And that's not how residential works. 1 through 4 unit only works based on comps, what the last thing sold for. Now, when you get to be a really good real estate investor, guess what happens? You recognize that the only thing that matters is cash flow on those properties. So I don't really give a rip what the comp is. I only care about how much money. So that's why I run my numbers and I look at it and I go, yeah, they're not giving the guy any more credit for this one that's at 8. So this 4 unit does $8,000 a month. This 4 unit does $6,000 a month, but they're priced at exactly the same thing. Yeah, hard pass. I'm going to take the one that's $8,000 a month, even though he's not going to get a dime more for his property because they're not taking the income approach. They're taking the comp approach. And that's typically what they do. I own multiple SFRs, thinking of moving up, but the math doesn't math. Yeah, if the math doesn't math, then that's a no-brainer. If I have really low interest rates too on those SFRs, I'm not moving that either. But what I'm always looking for is I'm always looking for the math. And I want 2, 3, and 4 unit because I can buy it with residential debt, which is much less expensive and much less risky than commercial debt. That's typically my approach. Matt Wenner, typically don't use cap rate yet for anything besides commercial. That's just my experience, though, kind of irrelevant in SFR. Yes, sir. Brand of exchanger. I don't remember the name of the brand. I don't remember the brand key. Sorry. Because honestly, I bought them eight years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. They've been fine. I haven't bought since. HOA price. Teacher salaries are so low in Silicon Valley, resulting in students being taught by substitute teachers without a college degree. Yeah, not surprising. I don't necessarily know that I value the college degree. I've seen teachers that come in and they are just absolutely elite because they can keep kids' interest in things. Perfect example is Crunch, the guy who does all the experiments. My son loves him. He wasn't a teacher. He was a scientist at NASA, not a teacher. Has a degree in something that has nothing to do with teaching, but he's found a way to make STEM exciting and interesting to kids. So obviously they're not getting that. People are getting out and they're just looking for a job. And so they're just hiring warm bodies, not people with skills. Cash on cash is lower on 2 to 4 than SFR if you prefer to use COC. Okay. Yeah. For me, it's all about the money. Yep. I like COC better, just based on how the math is done. Seems to be a better representation of what true returns end up being. Yep, that's true, Matt. That's exactly right. Kid City. I'm in Washington. I bought the course and have yet to watch it. Oh, my man, come on. I owned a daycare for 33 years, made money buying the property in 2012 for $340K and selling it for $2 million in 2018. Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. You're getting on screen for that. That's a win. Love that. Kid City, 1985. Were you born in 1985? My wife was born in 1985. It's probably a rude question. It's definitely a rude question. And you don't have to answer it. But I'd be interested if you did. Ms. Millie. Oh, just ripped out the baseboard heat with a total reno. Wish me luck. We're 0 degrees now. Thanks for the info. Ms. Millie, you're very welcome. Yeah, I always leave. The good news is that your panel probably can take it. It wouldn't be the worst thing to just get new base and do that because the challenging thing is that those heat pumps, when they go. And then what are you left to do for heat? You still have electric and you can plug in oil-based space heaters, but I don't love that, that there's a risk there. NPC. We are catching them all right. Bait stations were empty and sticky traps caught them. He claims he's using strong poison and not the cheap Home Depot crap. Yeah, we bought poison that is a 48-hour poison, not a 7-day poison. Stuff is the best. It's kind of like Sex Panther. It's illegal in every country, and it works 100% of the time, 60% of the time. Or 60% of the time, it works every time. Yeah. Key, thank you, sir. I just closed a Texas property 30 minutes from Austin, first time out of States. Key, congratulations. That is awesome, guys. That is awesome. Angel Ray, doing ceiling fans and mini splits get you top rents in your market. I've been told I should add mini splits to attract top tenants. I'm in Pennsylvania. Angel, I don't believe that. I don't believe that for 1 second. Ask 10 people what a mini split is. They have no freaking clue. They don't know. They don't care. You know what they care about? They care about cost and they care about comfort. That's it. If you're able to deliver cost and comfort for less money using a chipmunk on a bicycle in the basement, they don't give 2 rips. No one's looking for that. What's really interesting is that a lot of the mini splits are ugly and they mount on the wall. I actually use mini splits that mount in the ceilings because then people are like, "Ooh, it's really slick. I love this approach." Thanks for the intro on Google Words. Yeah, David Roth, you're no problem. Happy to do it. Josh, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it. Josh, no problem. And again, I think you're doing exactly the right thing. You do the research in your market and maybe you don't see any return or real return on 2, 3s, and 4s. Maybe all the return is on single families. That could be the market that you're in. That could be the market condition. It could be a number of things. But the key for me is I always want the least expensive fixed rate debt. So if you've got these houses with 2.5, 2.75, 3% debt, I'm never giving that up. I'm never giving that up. I want that return. Worst case scenario is I'm using a HELOC to access the credit so I can go buy other assets. I did that personally myself. It's a more risky strategy, but if that's something that some people feel okay about. But yeah, happy to do it. Yeah, Mark Rober. Thank you, Key. Thank you, Key. Yeah, Mark Rober. That's exactly right. Mark Rober. Yeah, he was an ex NASA guy, ex Apple guy. Not a teacher at all, but man, he's fun to listen to. I enjoy letting my kids watch him around me so I can learn stuff too. David Roth, we have a single family home that is new construction. The tenant, one person, is complaining about many noises, HVAC in the attic, fridge noise, microwave. Any suggestion to deal with noise or the tenant? I think that's, are you, David, are you remote or are you local to that unit? Kid City. That's when I opened my daycare. I'm old. Doesn't matter. You're winning. 320 to $2 million. Power move. Dion, I heard mini splits get the best tenants. I heard it from a mini split salesman. Yeah, exactly. Larry Bird, mini splits are cheap and you can literally install and maintain them yourself. That's true. They also have those like Be Cool setups and situations that they have out there. Those like self-install kits where you only need like an electrician for one very small part. But yeah, mini splits are okay. I think it really depends on the application. We're rolling out these cassettes. We're very interested to see how they perform. A little bit nervous because we over insulated the place. So I think we're okay. But I think anytime you look at a heating or cooling solution for a space, what you have to look at, that's the most important thing to look at, is the overall envelope. If you insulated to a 10, then you can heat on a 3. But if you insulated to a 2, you need to heat at a 10, right? So we are always concerned about the ecosystem that we're creating within the building. Do we use closed cell foam? Do we use open cell foam? Do we use, thermofiber? What did we use for insulation? Then how much insulation did we use? Did we put in the roof line? Do we do R38, R39? Do we only do R30? Do we put R15 in the walls because that's all that fit, or do we do R21 or R23? Do we do the joists underneath those units? There's all of these things that I consider to then come up with, did I make the right decision of how to do it? So we felt comfortable using these cassettes because we believe that we insulated it like a 9 or a 10. We use closed cell foam. We use it on the roof line. There's now conditioned space is where all the sprinkler heads are. That's all conditioned space. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Cadet heaters are a couple $100. Yep. And I've never had to service or replace one, yet mini splits cost a metric ton in comparison. That's true. So as a backup, yeah, I think I like the cadets, the 8-footers with the little thermostats on them. That's what we put in as backup. David Roth, I'm local and went out once. Noises were there, but not that bad objectively. Yeah. Man, like you could try to create almost like an insulation space around the around the HVAC that might be in the ceiling or the walls. There's nothing you're going to do on a fridge. Like there's nothing, like some of those things, there's just nothing you're going to be able to do. The more expensive a fridge is, the quieter it is. But do you want to get into replacing that fridge to make it quiet because the tenant thinks the fridge is too loud? Like, I mean, where else are you going to live? What's the comparison? NPC, only thing that mini splits are better at is no window AC. Yeah, I mean, I think they're better than, it's nice because you can have heating and cooling. So I do like that feature and function over like a forced hot air or forced hot water system. But there's drawbacks to everything. And when you're in the Northeast where it can be so unbelievably cold, they just don't have a proven track record when you get 20 below. And you can get 20 below with wind chill. And so you better have some other thing as a backup. So thankfully we have a backup. But again, we insulated at a 10. So we believe that you could probably warm the place just by lighting a lighter. The Riley A-OK. Hi, Riley. What was your first investment property? I know you mentioned you did a low down several times, but curious about the transition to non-owner occupied deals. Yeah, sure. So my very first one was a condo that I bought, and I needed to have a roommate with me to qualify. That was the very first one. So that was a house hack. That was the very first one that I did. As far as buying stuff that I didn't have to live in, I bought one of those in like 05, which was basically like 3-4 years into my journey. But it was a waterfront house that I had hoped I was going to get to and literally never got to it, and finally got to it and redid it and then sold it. Because my family was too big at that point to actually leverage it and utilize it. One of the biggest mistakes I made was not just handling that project. For years I didn't have money, and then when I finally did have money, I found everything else had a better return than doing that. I probably should have spent the money and just bit the bullet or just sold it as it was, but I always thought that I was going to get there. And then when we started having kids, we never used it and it got too small really fast. But that transition to non-owner occupied really happened after I got locked out of the market because Fannie Freddie went from you have 10 mortgages to you're allowed 4. Well, I had 5. I was already dead I was dead in the water. So the only way that I could get another mortgage was if I moved into the property. So I did house hacking out of necessity. Then I got used to it, didn't really mind it. And because it was such a shoestring budget and I was so broke, we would literally do a bunch of the work. I would finish my normal day job at, 6:00 at night. I'd grab a quick bite of food with my wife, and then she would study for school. And then I would go over and work on the other side of the duplex for hours upon hours upon hours, trying to fix it and do that work. And so did that for a long time and did that in multiple buildings. But yeah, we did house hack year after year after year. And so, yeah, we did 9 house hacks in 13 years. So for the first 13 years of my journey, it was mostly house hacks. Then I would say probably around year 9. So that would put it around 2012, 2011. Nope, was still doing house hacks then, but started to bite off properties that I didn't have to house hack and that I could buy and leave be and that sort of thing. So it was years into the journey for me because I wanted to keep on buying them with low down payments, and I wanted to keep on, moving into them, rehabbing them, making them better, and then cash out refining and then doing the next one. So I was doing BRRRR before it was BRRRR. But now I do them completely differently, and I do construction loans and I structure them in a certain way that I get my fixed rate. That way, if the rate's gone down, I can always refinance at the end. But if the rate's gone up a point or a point and a half, I'm not stuck. The thing still makes money and still hits the numbers because I fixed the debt early on. NPC, only thing that mini splits. Nope, already read that one. Riley, okay. Thanks again for doing these. Love to listen to these. Riley, you're very welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Mini splits are crap and extreme cold. Boilers always have given the most comfortable and reliable heat. That's true. I like the on-demand IBC forced hot water boilers. The reason that I like them is because they do what's called domestic heat and hot water. So they will not only heat your hot water to make sure that you can do all the fun things that you do with like taking a shower and doing the dishes and doing your clothes, but they also do the heating as well. So it's one unit. The cool thing is IBCs only have 7 pieces. So if that thing ever fails, guess what? Because I have a dealer that I use to buy them through, guess what happens? And you would do the same. You would find somebody local service in your area that does and has a dealer kit for IBCs. And that means that you're never down for more than 3 or 4 hours. It's true. They get a complete dealer kit. The entire unit is broken down to basically, I think it's 7 or 8 pieces. That way, when something breaks, you can literally ASE, rip out the old part, put in the new part, and boom, you're done. That's the powerful thing. So guys, I hope this was helpful. Welcome to all the new people that came in and asked great questions. Love it when you guys come and visit. Love it when we get to hang out with each other. Yeah, honestly, I'm still exhausted. When did I win that case? I won that case yesterday. Then today I was on the road all morning long, helping a couple of buddies with their project. just strategizing and working on some quotes and proposals, but that's what I did. But it was a really good time. Guys, always a pleasure to spend this time with you. Really, I do enjoy it. Hopefully I was helpful to you in your problems that you're trying to solve. And next week, we'll do exactly the same thing. Boot campers, we will have a Saturday boot camp. Super excited for the Saturday boot camp. There's a lot to cover, but we'll see you guys there. And for those of you who we have an awesome thing coming out for you guys. I'm excited to put it in your hands. It's been a while. It's been a lot of work to put together, but excited to get that out to you. And then we'll be starting that new series in the turn of the year with all the amazing people that I've interviewed that I think are going to be a benefit to the community. So I appreciate you guys. Have a awesome rest of your week. And, as usual, we'll see you guys in the next one. And make sure